Welcome to Coin Worth Million, a channel dedicated to valuable old coins with unbelievable prices. Here, a single rare coin can be worth millions of dollars, capable of turning collectors and coin lovers into millionaires. We explore rare, historic, and rare coins, hidden treasures. The 1946 United States 1-cent coin, though normally common, becomes extraordinarily valuable when struck with extremely rare mint errors, flawless mint state condition, or unique die varieties, turning an ordinary penny into a legendary numismatic treasure capable of making a dedicated collector a millionaire. The United States 1-cent coin of 1946 is an important and historically meaningful coin that reflects a significant transitional period in American history, as it was minted just 1 year after the end of World War II, during a time when the United States was shifting from a wartime economy to a peacetime society. This coin is part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, and the 1946 cent continues that long-running and iconic design. The obverse front of the 1946 1-cent coin features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the word, Liberty, appearing to the left of Lincoln's head and the date, 1946, appearing to the right, while the motto, In God We Trust, is inscribed along the top edge of the coin. The reverse back of the coin displays the famous wheat ears design, consisting of two curved wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and, United States of America, with the motto, E pluribus unum, above, symbolizing unity among the states. The wheat ears represent agricultural prosperity and the strength of American farming, which was especially significant in the mid-20th century when agriculture played a central role in sustaining the nation during and after the war. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat Cent was minted at 3 different United States mint facilities, each identified by a mint mark: the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark; the Denver Mint, identified by a small d below the date; and the San Francisco Mint, identified by a small s below the date. In terms of mintage numbers, the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 991,655,000 coins, making it extremely common, while the Denver Mint produced about 315,690,000 coins, and the San Francisco Mint produced around 198,100,000 coins. These large production numbers reflect the increased demand for coinage in the post-war economy, as commerce expanded and everyday transactions increased across the country. Because of these high mintages, most 1946 wheat pennies are considered common coins, especially in circulated condition, and they are widely available to collectors even today. From a technical standpoint, the 1946 1-cent coin has a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which was the standard bronze alloy used for Lincoln cents before 1962. This is particularly notable because just 3 years earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint had temporarily switched to zinc-coated steel cents due to copper shortages during World War II, making the return to copper-based coinage by 1946 a symbol of economic recovery and resource availability. The coin has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, and a plain, smooth edge, consistent with other Lincoln Wheat Cents of the era. Over time, depending on storage and environmental conditions, the copper surface of the coin may develop different colors, such as red, red-brown, or brown, and these color variations play a major role in determining a coin's value among collectors. In terms of value, the 1946 1-cent coin is generally worth face value, 1 cent in heavily circulated condition, but examples in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially those retaining full original red luster, can be worth significantly more. Coins graded Mississippi 63 to Mississippi 65 by professional grading services may be worth anywhere from a few dollars to several tens of dollars, while exceptionally well-preserved coins graded Mississippi 66 or higher can command much higher prices. Proof versions of the 1946 cent do not exist, as the U.S. Mint did not produce proof Lincoln cents in that year. While there are no major famous error varieties widely associated with the 1946 cent, minor minting errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or weak strikes can increase collector interest. Historically, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat cent represents more than just everyday currency. It symbolizes the resilience and rebuilding of the United States following the devastation of World War II. In 1946, American soldiers were returning home, industries were converting from military to civilian production, and the nation was beginning to establish itself as a global economic and political leader. The continued use of Abraham Lincoln's image reinforced ideals of unity, freedom, and democracy at a time when the world was reshaping itself after conflict. The wheat cent design itself would remain in circulation until 1958, after which it was replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, making the 1946 cent part of the final chapter of the wheat penny era. From a cultural and numismatic perspective, the 1946 1-cent coin is especially popular among beginner coin collectors, history enthusiasts, and those interested in mid-20th century American artifacts. It is often found in inherited collections, old jars, and estate holdings, serving as a tangible link to everyday life in post-war America. While it may not be rare or extremely valuable, its historical significance, classic design, and connection to a transformative period in U.S. history make it an important and meaningful coin. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat cent stands as a small yet powerful reminder of how ordinary objects, like a simple penny, can carry deep historical stories, economic transitions, and national identity across generations. Next coin. The United States 1-cent coin of 1944 is one of the most historically fascinating and numismatically significant pennies ever produced by the U.S. Mint, as it represents a critical moment during World War II when the nation was balancing military needs with civilian life, and it is especially famous for producing one of the rarest and most valuable error coins in American history. The standard 1944 1-cent coin belongs to the Lincoln Wheat cent series, first introduced in 1909, and it features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date, 1944, to the right. The reverse side continues the classic wheat ears design, showing two wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with E pluribus unum, above, symbolizing unity and agricultural strength during a time when food production was vital to the war effort. In 1944, the United States was still fully engaged in World War II, and resources such as copper were in high demand for ammunition, wiring, and military equipment, which directly influenced how pennies were made during this period. Under normal circumstances, the 1944 Lincoln cent was struck using a bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the same alloy used before the war. After the U.S. Mint abandoned the unpopular 1943 steel cents, which had been made from zinc-coated steel to conserve copper. In 1944, melted-down brass shell casings from military ammunition were recycled to create the bronze used for pennies, giving the coin an especially symbolic connection to the war effort, as weapons of war were literally transformed into everyday money. The 1944 penny was produced in extremely large quantities at 3 mints: Philadelphia No Mint Mark with over 1.4 billion coins, Denver D Mint Mark with about 430 million coins, and San Francisco S Mint Mark with around 282 million coins, making normal 1944 bronze wheat cents very common and easily found even today in circulated condition. However, what truly elevates the 1944 1-cent coin into legendary status is the existence of the 1944 steel cent, one of the rarest and most valuable U.S. coins ever discovered. A very small number of leftover steel planchettes from 1943 were accidentally used to strike pennies dated 1944, resulting in coins that look silver gray instead of copper brown. These 1944 steel cents were never meant to exist, making them mint errors of extraordinary rarity. It is estimated that fewer than 30 authentic examples of the 1944 steel cent exist across all mints, with the 1944 steel cent from the Denver Mint 1944D being among the rarest coins in American numismatics. Authentic specimens have sold at auction for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some examples in top condition have reached or exceeded $1 million, making them capable of turning an ordinary person into a millionaire if discovered and authenticated. From a technical perspective, a normal 1944 bronze cent weighs approximately 3.11 grams, while a steel cent weighs about 2.7 grams and is magnetic, which is one of the easiest ways to distinguish a genuine steel error from copper-plated fakes. The coin has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a plain edge, and a standard strike quality, although wartime production sometimes resulted in weaker details. The color of a bronze 1944 penny may range from red to red-brown to brown, and coins retaining original red color are far more valuable to collectors. No proof coins were officially produced for circulation in 1944, but the overall quality of mint state examples can vary widely. Historically, the 1944 Lincoln cent reflects the resilience, innovation, and sacrifice of the American people during World War II. As soldiers fought overseas, factories at home worked non-stop, and even the smallest denomination of currency carried the story of national survival and unity. The wheat penny design itself would continue until 1958, making the 1944 cent part of the later era of the wheat series, closely tied to wartime and post-war recovery. Today, the 1944 1-cent coin is extremely popular among collectors, historians, and investors, not because the regular bronze version is rare, but because of the dream that a 1944 steel cent might still be found in an old collection, drawer, or inherited jar of coins. In numismatics, the 1944 United States 1-cent coin stands as a perfect example of how history, metal, human error, and chance can combine to create legendary treasures. While millions of ordinary 1944 pennies circulate quietly with minimal value, a single rare steel example represents one of the greatest discoveries a collector can ever make, proving that even the smallest coin can hold enormous historical, cultural, and financial significance across generations. Next coin. The United States 1-cent coin of 1951 is an important representative of post-World War II American coinage and belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat cent series, a design that had already been in circulation for more than 4 decades by that time. Introduced originally in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln cent had become a familiar and trusted part of daily American life, and by 1951 it symbolized stability, recovery, and economic growth during the early years of the Cold War era. The obverse of the 1951 1-cent coin features the classic right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, with the national motto, "In God We Trust," inscribed along the top rim, the word, "Liberty," placed to the left of Lincoln's profile, and the date, 1951, positioned to the right. The reverse side continues the traditional wheat ears design, showing 2 stylized wheat stalks curving inward along the left and right edges, framing the central inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America, while the motto, E Pluribus Unum, appears above, reinforcing the idea of unity among the states. This wheat design, Deeply associated with American agriculture and self-reliance, was nearing the end of its long life, as it would be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. In 1951, the United States Mint struck the 1-cent coin at 3 mint locations: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver, identified by a small D mint mark below the date; and San Francisco, identified by a small S mint mark below the date. The total mintage for the year was substantial, reflecting strong economic activity and population growth in the post-war United States. Philadelphia produced approximately 570 million coins, Denver struck about 625 million coins, and San Francisco minted around 136 million coins. Because of these large production numbers, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Cent is considered a common date coin, especially in circulated condition, and millions of examples still survive today in collections, old jars, and bank rolls. From a technical and metallurgical standpoint, the 1951 1-cent coin is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, sometimes with traces of tin, maintaining the traditional bronze alloy used for most Lincoln cents prior to 1962. The coin has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, and a plain edge, all of which were standard specifications for U.S. cents at the time. The surface color of a 1951 penny can vary significantly depending on how it was stored, ranging from bright red for coins that retain their original mint luster, to red-brown, and finally to dark brown for heavily circulated or oxidized examples. Collectors place a strong premium on coins that still exhibit full red color and sharp strike details, particularly on Lincoln's hair and beard and on the wheat stalks on the reverse. In terms of value, most circulated 1951 wheat pennies are worth only a few cents above face value, primarily for their copper content or as part of a date set. However, uncirculated examples, especially those graded mint state MS by professional grading services, can be worth several dollars, and coins in exceptionally high grades such as Mississippi 66 or MS 67 red can command much higher prices at auction. While there are no famous million-dollar varieties like the 1943 copper or 1944 steel cents, collectors still seek out error coins from 1951, including off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, die cracks, and planchet flaws, which can significantly increase a coin's value depending on rarity and eye appeal. No proof Lincoln cents were officially produced in 1951, as proof coinage was suspended during and shortly after World War II. Historically and culturally, the 1951 United States 1-cent coin reflects a period of relative optimism and transformation in American society. The nation was experiencing industrial expansion, suburban growth, and technological advancement, while also entering the early stages of the Cold War. Everyday coins like the 1951 penny passed through the hands of millions of Americans buying newspapers, candy, bread, and gasoline, making it a silent witness to daily life in mid-20th century America. The continued use of Abraham Lincoln's image reinforced national ideals of unity, freedom, and perseverance during a time of global uncertainty. From a numismatic perspective, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Cent is valued not for extreme rarity, but for its historical context, classic design, and accessibility to collectors of all levels. It is often included in beginner collections, complete wheat cent albums, and educational sets used to teach American history through coinage. Though modest in monetary value, the 1951 1-cent coin carries lasting importance as part of the final decade of the wheat penny era and as a tangible artifact from a formative period in modern American history, proving that even the smallest denomination of currency can hold deep historical meaning and enduring appeal. Next coin. The United States 1-cent coin of 1942 is a historically important and highly interesting issue within the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, as it was produced during a critical turning point in World War II, the same year the United States entered the war following the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941. By 1942, America was fully mobilizing its economy for war, and even the smallest denomination of coinage reflected the pressures and adjustments of a nation preparing for global conflict. The 1942 1-cent coin features the familiar and iconic obverse portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, showing Lincoln facing to the right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," along the top rim, "Liberty," to the left of the portrait, and the date, 1942, to the right. The reverse side displays the classic wheat ears design, consisting of two inward curving wheat stalks that frame the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the motto, E pluribus unum, above, symbolizing unity and agricultural abundance at a time when food production and rationing were essential to the war effort. The 1942 Lincoln cent was struck at 3 United States mint facilities: Philadelphia, which produced coins with no mint mark; Denver, identified by a small D mint mark below the date; and San Francisco, identified by a small S mint mark below the date. Mintage figures were very high, reflecting the continued need for small change in everyday transactions despite wartime disruptions. Approximately 657 million coins were minted in Philadelphia, about 206 million coins in Denver, and roughly 85 million coins in San Francisco. These large production numbers make the 1942 penny relatively common today, particularly in circulated condition, and it is frequently found in collections, rolls, and inherited coin jars. From a metallurgical standpoint, the 1942 1-cent coin marks one of the final years before dramatic changes were made to penny composition due to wartime metal shortages. The standard composition for most 1942 cents is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the traditional bronze alloy used for Lincoln cents for decades. However, late in 1942, as copper became increasingly valuable for military use, experimental work began that would eventually lead to the production of the 1943 steel cents, making the 1942 penny one of the last, normal, copper-based cents before that major wartime change. Each 1942 cent has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, and a plain edge, consistent with earlier and later wheat cents. In terms of quality and appearance, 1942 pennies can be found in a wide range of conditions, from heavily worn brown coins to sharply struck uncirculated examples with full original red luster. Collectors carefully examine details such as Lincoln's hair, coat, and facial features on the obverse, as well as the sharpness of the wheat stalks and lettering on the reverse. Color classification plays a major role in value, with coins designated as red RD, red-brown RB, or brown BN depending on how much original copper color remains. While no proof coins were officially produced for general collectors in 1942, high-quality mint state examples still exist due to the large mintage. Although the 1942 Lincoln cent is not considered rare in its normal form, it is of interest to collectors because of various mint errors and die varieties. These include off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, die cracks, weak strikes, and minor double dies. While none of these varieties approach the legendary status of the 1943 copper or 1944 steel cents, certain error coins from 1942 can still command premium prices depending on severity, condition, and collector demand. The 1942's issue, in particular, is somewhat scarcer in high-grade mint state condition and is more challenging to find with full red color. Historically, the 1942 1-cent coin is a powerful symbol of a nation on the brink of total war. It circulated during a time of rationing, military enlistment, factory conversion, and national sacrifice. Millions of Americans used these pennies in their daily lives while reading war news, buying rationed goods, and supporting the war effort through bonds and conservation programs. The continued use of Abraham Lincoln's image during this period reinforced themes of unity, endurance, and moral leadership, which were especially meaningful during uncertain and challenging times. From a numismatic and educational perspective, the 1942 United States 1-cent coin holds lasting appeal because it bridges the gap between pre-war and wartime coinage. It represents the final phase before major material changes reshaped American pennies and stands as a tangible artifact of early World War II America. While its monetary value is generally modest, its historical importance, classic design, and connection to a defining moment in world history ensure that the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Cent remains a respected and meaningful piece in American coin collections, proving once again that even the smallest coin can carry a profound story of national identity, resilience, and transformation. Please like and subscribe to my channel.